everyone, Chris here and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm here to share with you my TBR for this round of the Final Book Support Group. We officially have our first round of the Final Book Support Group for 2025. We actually have a larger bingo board this year, so as you can see, there are a lot more prompts to fulfill. This round runs from the 20th through the 26th, so we're going to see if I can actually hit all of these prompts. There are 4 non-bookish prompts. One is to share your TBR, which I'm going to be doing in this video. Then you have treat yourself. At some point during the week, I will do something that I consider a treat. We'll see what that is. I'm not sure. Same with self-care. That'll probably be a nap. Knowing me, I will probably just take a nap and consider that my self-care. And then, of course, take part in sprints. I always try to check out Steph's sprints when she has them, even if I only lurk. And I will most likely be holding some of my own, so I will definitely be doing some sprints in this round. So quite looking forward to all of that. But let's jump in to the bookish prompts. And we're going to start with poll pick. So for poll pick, I put up a poll on my community tab and I use emojis. So the emojis I chose were train for Danger at Dead Man's Pass, lemon for Mr. Limoncello's fantabulous finale, vampire for Secret of the Reaping, and a witch for Witchwood. And the winner of the poll is, ta-da! Danger at Dead Man's Pass. So this is, I believe, the 4th book in the Adventures on Train series. I have loved the first 3 books, and I was not able to continue with the series until November, when I decided to finally put in a Blackwell's order to get books in some series that I'm in the midst of that are not easily available here in the United States. And this is one of those series. This follows Hal, who goes on adventures on trains with his uncle, and he loves to draw. So we often see him drawing the different individuals on the trains and the trains themselves as he tries to use his drawings and his reasoning skills to figure out whatever mystery he comes across. Like I said, I very much love this series, so I am so stoked that this won the poll, though I am actually going to try to get to the other 3 books during this week if I have time. We'll see. But this would be the priority, and those 3 would be after I finished the rest of my TBR. Then we got new release, and I'm going with Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear by Shauna McGuire. This has been very, very hard for me to not read because I really, really wanted to. This is the latest book in the Wayward Children series. This came out on the 7th, so I haven't had it very long, but I cannot wait to dive back into this series. I absolutely adore it, so I figured it made the most sense for new release, and it is the most recent new release that I got before the readathon starts, so it seemed like the obvious choice for this prompt, even if it was really hard not to pick up before then. Then for 2024 TBR, I'm going to read Villains in Venice. This is the 3rd book in the Taylor and Rose Secret Agent series. This is a book that I really wanted to get to at the end of last year. It came out of my TBR jar and I just did not have time. So I rolled it over to January, and when I saw this prompt, it just made a lot of sense to use it for this specific prompt. And in that vein, I'm going to hop right in to final book and read Nightfall in New York, which is the 4th book and the final book in the Taylor and Rose Secret Agent series. So I'm using 2 prompts on this board to finish out the series, and I'm curious to see what the girls get up to in these last 2 books and how the story wraps up. Then for Read Something for Fun, I'm going to read A Pirate's Life for Tea. This is the 2nd book in the Tomes and Tea series. I really enjoyed book 1, and I very much wanted to get to book 2. And this just gave me an excuse to stick it on my January TBR. So I very much am looking forward to getting back into this series. I have no idea where it's going, but I'm very, very curious, and hopefully I enjoy this one just as much as the first one. Then for different genre, I believe this just means you need to read a different genre to the last book you read, which means you could read a fantasy, then a romance, and a fantasy. But I actually put a book on here that is the only one on my TBR with this genre, and that is Finn in the Time-Traveling Pajamas, which is a sci-fi. I read the first book last year and had a really, really good time with it. I thought it was really funny. It had some laugh-out-loud funny moments. I thought the adventures were interesting. We're definitely dealing with some aliens, if I remember. And I feel like in this one, we might have some time travel in the form of pajamas, so that should be interesting and fun. And since I don't have any sci-fi on my Final Book Support Group TBR, it doesn't matter when I read this, it will be a different genre to whatever the last book I read was. Then for Continuation Station, I'm going with The Lady's Guide to Petticoats and Piracy. I read the first book in this series for the Queer Lit Readathon in December and really enjoyed it, so I'm quite excited to continue the series in January. This is a historical fiction romance mystery series, and I have no idea what we're getting up to in this one, but I believe we're following the sister of the main character in the first one. Very excited to dive back into the series and make some more progress on it. Then I have highly anticipated, and I'm reading Like a Curse. This is the sequel to Like a Charm. I absolutely adored Like a Curse. I had such a fun time with it, and just thought it was an amazing addition to Elle McNichol's collection. She's become an auto-buy author for me, and the moment I got done, I requested the next book from the library, and it only came in January. So this was another one where I saw the prompt, ended up with the book, and went, well, I know what I'm reading it for. And just like Adrifts and Currents, Clean and Clear, it was really hard not to read it before now, so I cannot wait to dive in to this book during this round of the Final Book Support Group. Then we have illustrated cover, and for this, I'm reading The Baby Firebird. This is definitely a cover that is an illustration. I think a lot of times Steph gives examples of, like, romances, but I didn't really have any that fit, and so I'm going to go with an obviously illustrated cover. This is the third book in the Secret Rescuer series. It should be really fast to read. It came out of my TBR jar, so I was going to get to it anyways, and I am excited to dive back into this cute early middle grade series. Then for TBR Vet, I'm going to read The Bookshop on the Shore. This is the second book in this series, and I read the first book a very, very, very long time ago. And this one also came out of my TBR jar, and it feels like fate because I was going to have to put a TBR vet on here anyways. And this is one of my oldest TBR vets when it comes to series. So this, I believe, is a romance, and I've heard from Omi, it's definitely something that if you're going to read it, you should check out the trigger warnings because it's not like a sweet, fluffy romance. It's definitely got some hard-hitting stuff in it. So we're going to see how this goes. I feel like I'm in a headspace where I can handle what the trigger warnings say. So we're going to give this a shot and continue this series in this round of the Final Book Support Group. Then we have graphic novel, manga, novella, short story, etc. And for this, I'm going to read Lore Olympus Volume 6. This is obviously a graphic novel. This is a Hades and Persephone retelling. I've really, really enjoyed it. I think the art style is absolutely gorgeous, and I cannot wait to dive back into this series. And speaking of that, for Book Box, which means to read a book you get in a subscription box or a special edition or something like a Barnes & Noble special edition, I'm reading Lore Olympus Volume 7 because I actually have the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of Lore Olympus Volume 7. This would catch me up on this series. So I thought it would be nice to have a couple of easier reads in the month of January, especially given how many prompts we had for this round and how many books I was hoping to get to. I am very, very excited to be able to read two of these back to back. I think it'll be the first time I have been able to or chose to do so. So very, very excited to dive back into this series and catch it up. So there you have it. That is my TBR for this round of the Final Book Support Group. It is very ambitious, especially considering I'm hoping to get to the other three books that happen to be on the poll. We'll see if I can make that happen. But my priority is the books I mentioned specifically in this video for the prompts. I am very excited to be taking part. Once again, thank you, Steph, to hosting it for another year. I feel like this is definitely going to help me with my goals to continue to drop down my series that I'm in the midst of, and hopefully I love everything I have picked out. Are you taking part in the Final Book Support Group? If so, what is the final book you're hoping to get to? All of my social media is linked in the description below if you'd like to come chat with me. If you've made it this far in the video, leave me fire and bird emojis in honor of the baby firebird. Like this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye!